at the movies with Tim Sika. Hey, Tim Sika. Hi.
Hi, Kim. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. Woohoo.
Yeah, how's it going over
Oh,
there? Have you seen any
it's
good movies this week?
no, what did I haven't really watched much this week. No, I did take my son though the last weekend to see Inside Out 2 and
Yeah. What'd you
I
guys think?
we really liked it, and I totally got what you told us last week about it being kind of more frenetic and a little faster paced and a little but I
Mm-hmm.
do think having a teenager at my house, a 14-year-old, that is full on the nature of puberty. So
You could totally relate, in other words.
I totally related to this. And my daughter didn't go, but my 10-year-old son and I were at the movies. And I turned to him and I said, now it makes you understand Julia a lot better, doesn't it? He said, yeah, it really does. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
loved the movie. I thought it was really good. And I
Yeah, it is.
remembered being at that movie, how much I enjoyed going to the theater.
Yeah, and I can't remember. Yeah, I think you texted me and you said something to the effect, and I agree with you, that you're just sort of like shocked at how many people it takes to actually make a movie like that. When you watch the
Oh,
end credits, my
the
God,
onion.
the
Yeah.
names are just they go on and on and on and on,
So
right?
I always sit through the end credits. I feel like it's a kind of a sign of respect for the people that made the
Yeah,
movie. Plus,
yes, good for
especially
you.
with kids movies, you never know if there's an Easter egg, and in this case
Right.
there were a couple.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
oh my gosh, so many names. It was wild. I mean, it,
yeah.
it took so many people to make that movie. It's really impressive.
Yeah, and when you consider, people go yikes when they hear $200 million price tag
Hmm.
for the movie, but they're employing an awful lot of people, and all those people have to be paid. So I guess it
Absolutely.
adds up. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
But
what
good,
do you
glad you liked it.
yeah, thank you for the recommendation.
You're
What do you
welcome.
have for me this week?
Well, our first movie that we have on the list, that I have on my list, is a movie called Thelma. And oh yeah, yeah, there's the poster. June Squibb. I love
He
June
is
Squibb.
so cute.
She really is cute, and this Thelma is a really cute idea for a movie comedy, and that idea involves a 93-year-old woman who is telephone scammed out of $10,000. So, she goes with her family to the police to report it. And the long and the short of it is that she's told that there's really nothing law enforcement can do in these cases. And her family tells her, well, at least it was only 10K that they scammed you out of. It could have been worse. So let's just move on and let's just forget about it. Well, Thelma, being the, hey, don't tell me what I can and cannot do type of gal. The 93-year-old lady in question, played by actress June Squibb, in her first starring role in a motion picture.
This is
And
cool.
I know, isn't that cool? At age 92. Most people know her from the Alexander Payne movie Nebraska, where she played Bruce Stern's wife, and she was nominated for a Best Supporting Actress Oscar. I think it was like in 2013. 2013. She was 61 when
Mhm.
she appeared in her first movie. It was Woody Allen's Alice in 1990. And she's been acting forever. She's primarily a stage actress, and she just got into films late.
Love it.
And she really didn't break through to audiences until she was like 81. And hers is quite a story. But anyway, Thelma, the 93-year-old lady who was scammed by unscrupulous telemarketers, she just won't let this rest. Damn, how dare they do this to her? So
Uh-huh.
she decides to find out who stole her money, and she's determined to get it back. So that's the premise. And like I say, it's a cute comedy. It's an audience picture. There's even a Mission Impossible component to this movie. The famous Lalo Schifrin theme from the Mission Impossible TV show is even employed to good effect. The movie's played like an action comedy, and Tom Cruise is even summoned via some clips from his Mission Impossible movie franchise as June Squibb's Thelma, takes to her motorbike to go after these guys or these people who stole her money. So, far be it from me to be too critical of this movie. Not all of it works. Some of the gags kind of fall flat, and the third
Okay.
act's a bit anticlimactic, but there's enough to enjoy here to give it a recommendation. And June Squibb, she's indefatigable. I happen to I was lucky enough to interview her for this movie,
Oh, cool.
and she was just she's just a delight, and she's such an, this sounds so corny, but she's such an inspiration. She's 94, and she's as sharp and funny, and she's still in possession of her
Absolutely.
acting chops, and
Mhm.
she's a super charmer. And she even does the lion's share of her own stunts in this movie. So,
Wow.
she's the envy, and she's got the energy to burn that most people half her age would envy. So, yeah, I liked it. And I watched this movie, and boy, would I like to see all those unscrupulous telemarketers who take advantage of the elderly
Totally.
boiled in oil. But that's not really the dominant feeling you're left with. It's more of a warm, cozy kind of thing.
I think that this movie, the storyline that you described, is really relevant to a lot of people. My mom got scammed.
Yeah.
She fell for the this is
Uh-huh.
the people from Apple, let me take control of your computer thing.
Oh man.
And she's not stupid, right? And
Right.
she felt when she realized she was scammed, and when she's got my sister and I looking at her like, how could you have done this?
Wow.
And now we're going to
It's-
have to cancel all your accounts, and we
Yeah.
go to the bank and we're resetting everything.
Yeah.
And she feels all at once stupid,
Yeah.
childlike, because we've had to then take control. And as you say, like, this is a woman in the movie who doesn't like to be told what to do. And it reminds me of my mom, because it feels like someone's taking away your independence. So I think older people can relate, their kids
Yeah.
can relate. It's a storyline that's really applicable
Yeah.
to a lot of people.
Yeah, and there's some tender moments too about the poignancy of aging. When caring for the elderly, how do you strike a balance between that care and allowing them a respectable degree of independence?
Right.
The movie goes into all of that, and the movie does have something to say about age being just a number. So yeah, I think it should do well at the box office. I hope a lot of people, go and see it. It's it's
I think I'm
there's
going
a
to take
really
my mom. I'm going to take my mom to see it.
take
Yeah.
your mom, and there's
Yeah.
a really sweet relationship dynamic going on too in the story between Grandma Thelma and her grandson,
Mhm.
played by Fred Hetchinger, which is really it's just really, really sweet, and it's genuine and it's real, and I think people will be able to relate to it. But yeah, I'd take my mom to see this. I'd take my
Mhm.
grandmom to see this movie, and young people too, because I think they'll be able to relate as well. It's a really nice movie, just a nice movie.
Question for you. When you
Yeah.
interview her and other stars, where can we find those interviews?
Oh yeah, just what? Go on Tim Sika SoundCloud. Just go on my SoundCloud page, Tim Sika Celluloid Dreams, the movie show. Yeah, I should be plugging that, right? That's up there now
Yeah.
if people want to check it out. Oh no, wait a minute. I'm sorry. It was just broadcast. It'll be up tonight. So yeah, just go to my SoundCloud page.
So you go to soundcloud.com.
Yeah, SoundCloud.com, and just type in Tim Sika, and it'll come up Celluloid Dreams, the movie show, and you can see it all. It's all on my thingy there, my queue.
Okay, I'm trying to type that up so people know. Okay.
Yeah, well,
so-
thanks for bringing that up. I always
Absolutely.
forget. I always forget to plug my stuff when I'm on your show.
No, that's what it's about. And I want to see your interview with this actress who I'm now intrigued by. So
She's
this is good.
just, and she was just so much fun. Yeah, and I was able to kind of relate in an oblique way, in that I'm from Cleveland. I was born in Cleveland, and she started her career at the Cleveland Playhouse, where a lot of famous actors, people that went on to be famous, started their career. Paul Newman started out at the Cleveland Playhouse. Eleanor Parker, Joel Grey, Bob Hope, they all started there. That's where they got their training, because it's a community theater that functions on a kind of a higher level than most community productions. And she was there too. I never saw her in a production, but anyway,
Okay.
yeah. So she was cool. Cool.
Next movie is going to be The Exorcism.
The Exorcism. Oh boy. This is one of those pick your poison movies, Kim, meaning if Exorcist type themed horror movies are your jam, which there have been so many made, I've lost count, then far be it from me to dissuade you from going to see this movie, despite what I have to say. Anyway, The Exorcism. It's called The Exorcism, but it's a marketing ploy, really, because it's not really about an exorcism per se. It's about this guy in the poster, played by Russell Crowe. He's an out of favor alcoholic actor who's being given a second chance when he's cast as a priest in this horror movie being made and filmed within the movie. It's sort of like a movie within the movie called The Georgetown Project. Georgetown, not coincidentally, being the setting of the very first classic 1973 William Friedkin movie, The Exorcist, which has spawned so many sequels and similarly themed Satan, demon, Beelzebub movies. Anyway, this movie within the movie is described by the director of the movie, played in The Exorcism by Adam Goldberg, as a psychological drama wrapped in the skin of a horror movie. So yeah, looking at that poster, you think, yeah, looks like a heavy drama. And in a lot of ways it is. But anyway, this out of favor actor's cast in this movie, and it's implied that because of the pressure that he's under to perform, because he's an alcoholic, he's recovering, but he's, he can easily lapse. It's implied that the actor, played by Russell Crowe, because he's having trouble delivering when the director says action, that he's either slowly slipping back into addiction or becoming possessed by guess who. Anyway, because, and this is what was fresh about The Exorcism, and maybe it was how it got greenlit in the first place. When the screenwriter, what the screenwriters do is that they take these urban legends about, when they made movies like the original Exorcist and The Omen and Poltergeist, there were stories circulating those productions about how these mysterious things happened on the sets that nobody could explain, how sets inexplicably burned down during the filming of those movies, how people died during the production of some of these movies, and various and sundry other mysterious things like that, which allegedly occurred. And those reports from the set, so to speak, have been incorporated into the screenplay. And I like that about this movie because it was different. And the other things I liked about The Exorcism were that the director of this movie, not the actor playing the director of the movie within the movie, but the director of this movie, his name is Joshua John Miller, will occasionally acknowledge the tiredness of the genre with a tongue-in-cheek scene over here and maybe another one with a wink-wink quality over there. But these bits aside, the overall approach to the movie is dead serious. I mean, you can feel the commitment of the director, the overall approach, and you can feel it in the actors. Russell Crowe plays this part of this once great actor, Anthony Miller, like it's the last thing he's ever going to do. He's playing Lear or somebody or something. He's thunderous and powerful, and he overacts, but he never seems like he's overacting.
Okay.
Just lending this part a certain kind of like immense gravitas. But honestly, this movie is silly, really. Ridiculous, predictable. I give it an A for effort and some props for trying to do something a little different with the demon movie formula, but ultimately and perhaps unavoidably it quickly succumbs to the all too familiar tropes and cliches of the genre. But if this is your jam, movies about devil possession and Catholicism running amok and religious dogma and unexplained evils going on, I think there's enough here to satisfy you, but I found it a slog. In 95 minutes, I am never going to get back in my life. So, yeah, I mean, I know it sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but I'm trying to be fair. So,
Are you recommending it?
I'm not recommending it, but hey, if, like I say,
that's your jam,
then, yeah, I'm not recommending it. Nah, skip it.
Let's move to this one. I love a good hug. This is Ghostlight.
Yeah, lots of good hugs in this one. Ghostlight, yeah. This may be the most quote-unquote interesting movie of the week. I'm having trouble, though, getting on the side of just about all of my colleagues across the board ravings about how great this movie is. I found it interesting enough, but flawed and annoyingly just not very believable. And although the director of this movie, Kelly O'Sullivan, is someone I would really like to interview about the movie. But anyway, the plot involves this construction worker. He's in the photo there, the poster there, who, along with his wife and daughter, is still grieving over the suicide of his son. A direct result being that this guy has major anger issues, which manifest in him inappropriately acting out in public. So, and I'm leaving a lot out here. So it so transpires that this guy becomes involved in a community theater group who happen to be performing a production of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. And as he becomes a participant in the play, he begins to see things in the play that inevitably help him heal the wounds and the psychic scars and the pain he's still inwardly harboring over the death of his son. Now, that is such a great idea. And there was right?
It shows we can find healing in the strangest of places, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, well, I think in the end, too, it's ultimately about the healing power of theater. And there was every reason here in this story and in this screenplay for me personally to have loved the movie. Theater, for one. I love theater. Shakespeare, for another. The script even openly evokes Rodgers and Hammerstein's Oklahoma, a show I love. There's songs that they perform from Oklahoma in this movie, but I just found most of it to be unbelievable. And it's somewhat hard to say in precise terms why I felt that without giving too much away or without giving examples that might mean anything to somebody who hasn't seen the movie. But I think I can sum it up by saying that the reason I didn't like this movie, Ghostlight, and I don't even know why it's called Ghostlight, but whatever. The reason I didn't like it was, for one, the script struck this tone that, for me, failed to pull me into the ins and outs of the narrative in the way in which maybe a more seasoned director might have pulled me in. It had this preciousness, too, about it that made it difficult for me to get beyond what I saw as a very contrived situation, and one that would never, ever play out in real life the way in which it's played out in this movie. So the best I can say about it, at least for now, and parenthetically, maybe all the critical raves are suggesting that maybe I should see it again before I file an official review. The best I can say about Ghostlight is that it's interesting, and on that basis alone, I think I can in good conscience deem it recommendable, but it didn't work for me on just about every level. I think it was intended to work. I just found it not credible and kind of irritating in that they kept piling one sequence upon another, and I wasn't convinced of the first sequence, all right? And they piled another one. I still wasn't convinced, and I just found it irritating. And a little bit of the film's intended emotion bubbled to the surface at the end, but I think most of that had to do with the film's musical score and not the way in which it was directed. So I guess I found fault in the way it was presented. I just didn't buy it. And yet the idea behind it sounds amazing. You know?
It sounds like an interesting thought.
Yeah, and apparently it's getting critical raves across the board. So, I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. So.
Last movie that you have on your list is called The Bikeriders.
The Bikeriders. Yeah, have you seen any? They've been running a lot of previews for this movie. Well, no, I guess they wouldn't. Yeah, they wouldn't be showing the Bikeriders preview at movies like Inside Out 2.
Now, I did hear Michael Snyder talk about this movie today, so I'm interested to compare what you guys have to say about it.
Did Michael did review it?
He did review it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, all right. So,
but I want your untainted, afflicted view.
I haven't listened to Michael's review yet, and I usually don't until afterwards. So this is good. Okay, so this was a movie that was supposed to come out last year, but I guess the SAG strike got in the way of the actors promoting it, so they kind of put it on the back burner. And I believe the distributors changed midstream as well. Originally, it was going to be 20th Century Studios doing the distribution duties, but now it's Focus Features. So anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And this movie is what I might call, it's a grim drama, to be sure, but this is what I might call a combination character piece, kind of crime drama, and subculture submitted for your disapproval tale.
Okay.
It's fictional, but was inspired by a book of the same name. It was authored by American photographer and filmmaker Danny Lyon, portrayed in the movie by West Side Story's Mike Feist, who played Riff in West Side Story. And the story's set in the 60s, and it's about the formation and rise of this Chicago outlaw motorcycle club called the Vandals, a biker gang. And I like this film enormously. It turns funny and dark and nasty, violent. There's lots of dirty fighting, drinking, and living on the edge behavior depicted as de rigueur for this motorcycle culture. It's occasionally grim, but I always found it engaging. I never, ever once thought to look at my watch or thought of the time. I just was sucked in. The script is solid. Although I kind of wish maybe we're closer to the book. Somebody should make a documentary based on the book, but that's another conversation. Suffice it to say that this film, the Bikeriders, as done in this way, was quite good. It was written and directed by Jeff Nichols, who makes a movie about every 3 years, although it's been 7, I think, since his last movie, The Excellent Loving. But all of this guy's movies have something to recommend in them, and The Bikeriders is no exception. Is a standalone movie. It's pretty terrific. Placed in the director's oeuvre, it's even more impressive. Great cast. Jodie Comer, who's in the poster there on the right. She's the only female cast member. Austin Butler of last year's Elvis movie is terrific. The two of them are listed above the title, and they're both great. But I think the real star in this movie is Tom Hardy, who's to the left of Austin Butler there, who's in the middle, who plays the leader and founder of the Vandals. I think certainly has the most dialogue. Austin Butler just kind of, he doesn't say too much, but
he looks good. He looks like James Dean in the poster.
Yeah, he does look like James Dean. Yeah, I'm sure that there was some influence on some level for him there. But the movie, while also very evocative of this motorcycle gang subculture, it's a weird culture, but it also manages to deliver complex character studies of the individuals depicted in the movie. So yeah, it's a stylish, disturbing drama and an interesting deep dive into this motorcycle gang subculture, which kind of began as a sort of a surrogate family for local outcasts, but it evolved into a kind of organized crime syndicate, which the movie doesn't go into very much. They kind of bring that in at the end as a kind of an afterthought, but it's a very good movie. It opens today in theaters. I liked it. What did Michael think of it?
He agreed with you, and he called out the
Good.
cast. He said the cast was incredible. He liked the female lead. He thought she was the heart of the gang and the heart of the show.
Yeah, she is the heart. She is the heart of the gang and the show. Jodie Comer. Yeah, it's a really interesting performance too, because she kind of plays it like semi ditzy, but she's not really ditzy. She's really smart, and she kind of knows the score, and she knows what's going on, and she's really like torn between the love she has for the Austin Butler character and God, this is not a life she is comfortable with, but she loves this guy so much. Yeah, she's very nuanced. I agree. Yeah, she is the heart of the movie. Absolutely.
Yeah, you guys both really like this movie. So let's recap.
Okay.
Thelma, you said not all of it works, but it's enjoyable. It's a nice movie, and you recommend it. And
I do.
You and Michael Snyder both like that movie. Oh, sorry, okay, Thelma. I got the right picture up there. Yeah, exactly. You both really like this one. I think he liked it more than you liked it. But there it is, Thelma. But you both liked it. You both recommend it. So I consider that a yes in my book.
Okay.
The Exorcism. You both did not like this movie at all. You said it's a silly movie. It's predictable. You give it an A for effort, but it's cliche. You are not recommending it unless this kind of movie is your thing. In which case, you go ahead, but you can't throw your weight behind this one.
No.
Ghostlight, you are not a fan of this movie. You said it's not very believable. It had a tone that just really failed to pull you in. You said it's interesting. You recommend it, but it didn't work for you.
Yeah, did Michael like it? I bet Michael liked it.
He didn't review it.
Oh, he didn't review it? Okay, he didn't see it. Maybe next week he'll talk about it. But yeah, we're we're just sort of like one-man operations, and we're both freelance, and sometimes, it's just hard to keep up on
Sometimes you do
everything
different movies. Yeah.
right, and sometimes he sees stuff that I don't see, and vice versa. Yeah.
Absolutely. Your list is always a little bit different, which is,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cool. I like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's good for you. Less boring for you, right?
But I love to compare the ones that you did see. And then there's always like you shake me up a little bit with something that, is fresh that we haven't heard about yet. So I think it works. This works for me, Tim Sika. I like it.
All right, Kim McAllister. I'm glad it works for you.
The last one you reviewed was the Bikeriders. You said this is terrific. It's a great cast and it's a stylish yet disturbing drama, and you are recommending it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. Yeah. So there's some good stuff out this week. Variety of subject matter. I mean, gosh, every single one of these movies is so different from the other one that for all tastes. So pick your poison. And,
anything streaming that you've seen that you want to recommend?
You know what? Not off the top of my head, but you know what I have been revisiting? One of my favorite shows of all time, 6 Feet Under. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't.
It is, oh my gosh. Anyway, 5 seasons. It came out in 2001 and it ran for 5 seasons. It's about a family who owns and operates and lives in a funeral parlor. Oh, wow. And it is one of the best. I think it's television as art. It's profound, it's funny, it's weird, it's quirky, and I'm revisiting the whole series. I'm just loving it all over again.
What streaming service are you watching it on?
Netflix. The whole series is available on Netflix.
And I have Netflix. I can see that, and I haven't seen it yet. So
check it out. See what you think. Yeah,
6 Feet Under.
Yeah, and what's interesting about it is when they did that series, they did it before. They did it when you had to tune in once a week on HBO to see the latest episode. So there wasn't this like desire to sort of like to binge it. So therefore, I think that's reflective in each episode. They make each episode seem like something really, really special. Right. And you never, in other words, you don't have to watch like 4 of them to get into it. You immediately get into it on episode 1, and you're there for the whole thing. It's just a superb show. Yeah. Anyway.
And we can see your interview with this 94-year-old actress. Her name again?
June Squibb.
June Squibb. And that is, you go to soundcloud.com and just search for Tim Sika.
Tim Sika.
And Sika is
the movie show. Yeah.
S-I-K-A if you're listening via podcast and you can't see the spelling. Tim, S-I-K-A, Tim Sika. Tim Sika, thank you so much for the great reviews this week.
Oh, thanks, Kim. It was fun. It's always fun, and I always look forward to chatting with you week to week.
Awesome. I'll see you next week. Bye, Tim Sika.
Bye, Kim McAllister.
Bye. That's At the Movies with Tim Sika.